The federal government created the minimum wage in 1938 at the height of the Great Depression. It was designed to keep America's workers out of poverty and increase consumer purchasing power in order to stimulate the economy.
It's been increased 22 times in order to keep up with inflation, including 7 times in the past 25 years.
Some say it's time to do it again. But is that really in the best interest of our communities?
Sydney Jones is a single mother with a 4-year-old child. She has to make tough choices every week since she has to make ends meet on a minimum wage job, $7.25 an hour. She says $15,080 a year isn't enough for her to get by.
It is hard because sometimes I have to decide, like, if my son needs underwear, I'm going to have to be late on a bill to buy him a pack of underwear, or I'm going to have to ask people to borrow money. So it is hard sometimes.
Sydney is not alone. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 3.3 million Americans make minimum wage or below. That's 2.6% of all U.S. workers. Most minimum wage workers are employed in fields like food service, retail sales, or personal care such as daycare. Rosemarie Gray makes minimum wage as a custodian.
We would be able to take care of ourselves and pay our bills and pay for our housing and stuff like that. And we can't do that on minimum wage. You just can't. So they got all these programs, like I said, like food stamps. People, why do you need food stamps? Because you got to eat. You don't make enough to feed yourself and pay all your bills. You just don't.
The push is on to raise the federal minimum wage from $7.25 an hour to maybe $10.10 an hour, which would provide a little over $21,000 a year if the individual works 40 hours per week. It's been 6 years since the minimum wage was raised. Some in Congress say now is the time to raise it again.
But things are getting better. The problem is they're only getting better for some. We know that corporate profits have continued to break records while Americans are working harder and getting paid less.
But some, like Kentucky Congressman Andy Barr, say raising the minimum wage will cost jobs, citing a nonpartisan study by the Congressional Budget Office.
If we mandate a higher minimum wage in those entry-level jobs, that we would lose 500,000 to 1 million jobs immediately, those low-income jobs. That's the last thing we want. We don't want to create more unemployment. We want higher employment.
Representative Barr says more education and better worker training are the keys to improving the lives of minimum wage workers like Sydney and Rosemarie, not an artificial wage.
So what we need to focus on again is policies that produce economic growth so that workers in minimum wage jobs move into higher wage jobs. That would then open up those jobs for new workers to come in who are currently unemployed to backfill those minimum wage jobs and move up the ladder of success that way.
Many business owners agree. Mark Kolb started Quantum Metals, a scrap metal company, 20 years ago. Today it has $120 million in annual sales, employing a staff of 50. He believes a wage hike hurts his bottom line, forcing companies to raise prices.
Raising the labor, mandating a higher labor rate will raise their costs and will force them to attempt to raise their prices in the marketplace.
Vice President Joe Biden says increasing the minimum wage will help all workers earn more and spend more.
Folks, it's long past due to increase the minimum wage. That will lift millions of hardworking families out of poverty, and in the process produce a ripple effect that boosts wages for middle class and spurs economic growth for the United States of America.
And some minimum wage workers say that extra money will make them less dependent on government benefits, saving taxpayers millions of dollars.
Depend on the city helped me get my apartment. They paid the first month and they paid the deposit, but they're broke because everybody's needing money so bad to help them out that they don't have any more money anymore. No, but this was my opportunity to get out on my own. But if I had my own money, I could have paid the deposit and I could have paid the first month, the last month, or whatever, you know, like normal. But I couldn't because of the situation I was in, homeless, you know.
But even some minimum wage workers believe mandating a pay hike will cost them and everyone else in the long run.
If you raise the minimum wage, everything else has to go up as well, just to cover the minimum wage. It is said that the government's pressing for 1010 in 2016, therefore they charge that. Employees have to pay more money, therefore they have to raise their products prices up. In the long run, it hurts us more for our economy, and it also makes our money worthless even more than it is now.
Minimum wage jobs should be considered entry-level jobs.
Congress should not mandate higher wages, rather invest in programs that help workers advance to higher skilled and higher paying jobs.
These actions would benefit our community because more people making more money would create more tax revenue for governments, which would result in people being able to invest more in positive community changes.